So this is a muscle fiber model. Muscle fibers are also known as muscle cells. And so this is just to give you a snapshot view of what a muscle cell would look like from the outside. I will also point out that there are some terms that are used instead of words like cell membrane. We have special names for them for the muscle cells. So I want to kind of give you a little orientation. We've got some nerve innervation going on here. If you've covered the neuromuscular junction, this should look kind of familiar. But what this is showing you is that the nerve has these little vesicles that are filled with chemicals called neurotransmitters. Don't worry, I'm not going to test you on those on this model, but just so you know that these vesicles will release chemicals into this little gap here, and this is how the nerve is going to talk to the muscle. What's going to happen is this sarcolemma, this is the muscle cell's plasma membrane or cell membrane. It's going to surround the entire muscle cell, and then it's going to form these little rigid structures that we call the motor end plate. And so when the neuron is going to communicate with these little vesicles, they're going to send little chemicals in here called neurotransmitters. Well, they'll get picked up within this motor end plate. And that's going to help transmit that signal to the rest of the muscle cell that it needs to contract. That signal will be transmitted through what we call these blue structures here. They're called T-tubules. They're transverse tubules, and so those will be really important. When you guys learn the actual process of muscle contraction, you'll learn what's going to happen with the T-tubules, with this next structure here called the sarcoplasmic reticulum that stores calcium, and then eventually it's going to cause these fibers to contract. So again, this seems kind of abstract what we're teaching you right now, but just to give you kind of a preview of physiology is you're not just learning these structures just to learn them, we're teaching you them so that when you get to physiology, you're like, oh yeah, I remember learning these structures. Now we're going to learn the order and how the signal gets transmitted. So the neuron is connected over here with these chemical signals. They're going to communicate via this motor end plate that is also part of the sarcolemma. And then that signal will transmit through these T-tubules, these blue structures here, into the sarcoplasmic reticulum, which will then release a signal and cause this muscle to contract. So those are the major structures. On here, the last two I want to point out are not part of the physical process itself. It's a layering thing. This is the endomysium. It's just connective tissue that surrounds these different muscle fibers. And then individually, these are myofibrils. So they're just a smaller part of the muscle cell. But this muscle fiber model is a muscle cell model. So one more time, endomysium, myofibrils, the sarcolemma, motor end plate, T-tubules, and then the sarcoplasmic reticulum.